Hey everyone, welcome to this YouTube series where we get to meet former contributors that are now elasticians. My name is Uli Sampaio and I am a Community and DevRel Program Manager at Elastic. And today with us we have Val. Hi Val.
Hi, Oli. I'm Val. I've been using Elasticsearch for quite a few years. I've been developing software for even more. And today I'll be interviewing with Uli about past contributors.
Awesome. And if you can share with us a little bit how you got involved with the Elastic community, how did that go? You said that you mentioned it was 13 years ago. So how did that go?
Yeah, that's quite a long story, which I will try to summarize a little bit. So basically, it started in way before Elasticsearch was created. It started in the early 2000s. I was running a search project for a customer, and long story short, I decided to use Lucene back then. So Lucene is already starting to ring some bells, I think. And it was actually very successful for the customer as it helped him save a substantial amount of money in the process. So, and a few years later, it was 2009, I think, the customer came back to me and he asked me to do some maintenance work on that project. And I was curious to learn how the state of the art of the search field had evolved over the past few years, because it was 2000, 2009, like almost a decade. I was curious. So I launched Google, like everyone else did. And I Googled for just 3 keywords. I mean, I Googled for a few more first, but then I stumbled upon 3 keywords, which were Lucene, REST, and API. I wanted to have Lucene, and I wanted to have a REST API on top of Lucene. And so I landed on elasticsearch.org back then, and boom, the love story began. So I can tell you, even my wife was a bit jealous about that. Anyway, so I started digging out from the internet pretty much anything I could find on Elasticsearch. I read the full documentation that was existing back then, all the blog posts, all articles, all issues I could find. I mean, basically everything I could put my eyes on. So it was almost like how could we put it? Almost like an obsession. Yeah. There was also a Google group where there were discussions about Elasticsearch topics, and Shai was very active in there. He was helping people get up and running, solving bugs, discussing new features, whatever. And at the time, I was just merely consuming that information. I was not really contributing much. I was just reading discussions and trying to learn from them, but I was not really into answering questions and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I was more like just a user, a passive user, invisible user. So honestly, I don't remember if it was my shyness or the lack of time, but the fact is that I wasn't really a contributor back then. So I just used Elasticsearch as a consumer. And that's something I've come to regret somewhat, but I mean, things are the way they happen, right? And maybe I wouldn't be here today if I had started being involved more tightly with Elastic earlier in my life. So that's basically how my first encounter with Elasticsearch in the community. It was just starting a Lucene project and then stumbling upon elasticsearch.org 10 years later and falling in love with it.
Awesome. And what was the most exciting about when you first started working with Elastic? Was some like a feature, or was it our technology, how helpful the community was? What got you most excited about that back then?
So I really liked Lucene. It was really helpful for solving numerous different situations, search situations. So on one hand, I liked Lucene. On the other hand, I found Elasticsearch with the REST API on top of it. So it was and distributed and everything. I mean, all you can dream about. So it was really exciting just from the start. Just not even a feature, but just the distributiveness of having a Lucene search engine on different nodes. So basically, ever since I discovered Elasticsearch, both the project and the technology were part of my daily routine. Not a single day went by without doing something around Elastic, weekends, holidays included. Just couldn't drop it. It was always in my mind. in my head, sorry. And I started investing a lot of time very early on, and there weren't that many people who were contributing, well, participating in discussions, but I was still already very keen on using Elasticsearch on customer projects, even though the product itself was not really production ready at the time, but I used it anyway. So I told my customers, no guarantee. This is an open source project, can go anywhere, can go up, can go down, in a black hole somewhere. We have no guarantee, but at least now it solves some problems. So let's use it and let's see how it goes. And my thinking was back then, so we're talking about 2010, my thinking was that if Shai managed to find the right people at the right time with the right funding and the right ideas, Elasticsearch as a company would be a killer. Just because the software product itself was already awesome back then. So and there was no other product on the market that could even remotely rival it. So it was yeah. To me, it was obvious. So and then I saw in a little bit later was 2012, I think, mid 2012, the company was created. So Elastic was created, or it was called Elasticsearch at that time, and then was renamed to Elastic. And then just the next year, 1 year later, I think Logstash and Kibana joined forces in 2013. And then in 15 found, so we had the cloud and the Beats family as well. So we had Beats, and from that time on, we had everything. We could bring data in, search data, visualize data. It was really, and host all that in the cloud. So from then on, I knew something really big was brewing, and that got me even more excited, of course. So I invested even more time into learning and everything, because I wanted, I mean, that was, yeah, I wanted, that was quite a wishful thinking, but I wanted to be one of the go-to people in my area when someone needed Elasticsearch expertise. My area, we're talking about Switzerland, so it's really small, and people are usually not keen on trying, yeah, they don't like to take risks usually. I mean, when you think Switzerland, you think banks, VCs, and all that stuff. So risk is not in their vocabulary. And so is the same with technology. So Elasticsearch took some time to arrive in Switzerland, but some people were already using it. And we had some small meetups and stuff like, not even meetups, but we had small groups, gatherings, and where we discussed Elasticsearch, and it was already really interesting. So I was known in Switzerland for one of the few guys who knew Elasticsearch back then. It was quite helpful for me. So around that time, I realized that many people, I realized that I needed to start contributing, in the sense that I wanted to answer questions, because I learned enough to be able to start answering questions, basically. So back in 2015, I created an account in Stack Overflow and started answering questions, because I was and I'm still a firm believer that if you first give something to people, you might at some point end up receiving something in return. And I mean, it's not for receiving, but I was living off Elasticsearch at the time. So I wanted, of course, to have projects, consulting jobs, and things like that. So contributing, answering questions, helping people was one surefire way of making myself known, basically. So professional. And initially, there weren't that many questions on Stack Overflow, on Discuss, because, well, Elasticsearch was there, but still in its infancy, at least in my area. So not really adopted by the masses, by the Swiss masses, if I can say it that way. So nevertheless, I never stopped helping people with basically anything Elastic related that I was, of course, able to help them with, because you also learn in the way. Sometimes you don't know the answer. So that's also what's cool about it. So explaining stuff to people makes you learn a lot, because even though you know how and where to find the answer, you still need to go through the process of crafting it and explaining it in terms that novice users can also understand. So it's not only about knowing the answer, it's also knowing how to transfer it, and transmit your knowledge. And as one of the top answers on Stack Overflow, people started to notice me, of course, and that way I initially got some small, medium projects and then much bigger ones. And at some point I could just live off consulting projects on Elastic. So it was really a great path, starting from just knowing nothing, discovering, learning, and contributing, and then having projects around that, from small startups, from big banks, and stuff like that. So, and yeah, that kind of organizations. So, if I had to sum it up, I can say that my dedication to Elasticsearch only grew over the years. It wasn't like a wave; it was like an exponential curve, like always growing toward the sky. And I started at that time also started running meetups across Switzerland in collaboration with another Swiss elastician. His name is Nicolas Ruffin. He's still there. He's in the observability team. Sorry, and I evangelized Elasticsearch to my prospects, customers, deployed the stack everywhere it made sense, and could help solve data and search problems that my customers would have. And at the time when Elastic was not really present in Switzerland, I had to cross country several times to help people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was just great, basically, because you get to meet people and talk about stuff you like. So it's always great. So it's also kind of, if I can describe it that way, it's also kind of a virtuous circle, right? I needed Elasticsearch for my consulting projects because I was almost exclusively living off that, and so I needed Elasticsearch to keep growing, to develop my activity, right? So I had to make sure that demand kept growing. So meetups was a way to socialize, answer people, and sustain that demand. So as you can see, I'm really excited about anything Elastic, and even more so now that as an employee.
Yeah.
It was the case as a contributor, but it's even more so now as an employee.
Yeah, this is something that I hear from a lot of other engaged community members, that they feel like they learn even more when they share with other people. So it's like they learn something and then they share the knowledge and then they learn even more of that. And also the aspect of like giving back to the community. This is every time when we send the feedback survey to the past contributors, everyone always mention how good it feels to give it back to the community. So this is like one of the main goals of the program, is to have people to share their knowledge and ultimately multiply that, like to have your impact to reach to a lot more people. So this is exactly what we want with the program. And so you said that you started getting more involved with meetups and everything. And I particularly noticed that you were super involved and super engaged, and invited you to join the program last year. And quickly you became one of the top contributors. Was there anything, like any project or any highlight, that you were more proud or excited about when you were still a contributor?
Well, that's a tough question. I don't really have any specific highlights to share. Basically, because every time I get to interact with someone who likes Elasticsearch and wants to learn more, that's a big highlight just in itself, because you never really know what kind of tricky question is going to come up, and also how I'm gonna figure out the answer. So that's, to me, it's every interaction is a highlight. I cannot rank my interactions with community or customers, or past customers, as a better highlight or worse highlight. But usually, what's fun about it is that the answer usually always starts with "it depends," and that's always a fun moment, because everyone laughs when they hear "it depends." I have no idea why. Of course, yeah, it's always a positive experience to contribute, and of course, it's always been great when you manage to help someone out of a problem they've been trying to solve for hours, days, or weeks, and you manage to find not always the solution, but a piece of the solution, and you see the smile on their face, and it's always really grateful.
That's great to hear. That really, really is.
Hey,
And
mainly thanks to Elastic, right? It's features for different people, not me.
True. And how does it feel that you're like you have the two perspectives? You were part of the community, and now you are an employee. You are an elastician. Um, how does it feel to have both perspectives?
It feels weird, but in a good sense, though. All right, so it's not. It's really a good feeling. If I had to picture this, it would be like, you know, every morning when you go to work, you take the same road, you see the same set of houses, the same people, but on one particular road, one particular house strikes you more than the others. And just because it's much nicer than any other around, more colorful, everything. And you know exactly how it looks down to the smallest detail because you go through it, you go past it every day. You know perfectly how the exterior looks like, how you even see people going in, coming out. So meetups and everything. You start greeting them and you see them almost every day. You do that literally for years. Actually, in my case, it was years. And but you have no idea how the interior looks like, right? It's you just see perfectly how the house looks like from the exterior, but the interior you have no idea. So then all of a sudden, someone invites you inside, and you get to see how everything looks, how everything works, how the people living inside it make it work. And to be honest, I'm starting my third month this week, and it took me a while to realize I stepped in. So I'm pinching myself from time to time to make sure I'm not dreaming, but
Oh,
my list of tasks piling up, and I think every elastician goes through that. I know for sure it's for real. So yeah, it feels really great. Everyone is kind and helpful, and I really like it. I like the vibe. I like the smile on people's faces, and I mean, even though you don't see them, but you can see them smile just the way they communicate. So it's really great. I like what we're up to. Lots of challenges ahead, and very interesting stuff all across the board. So yeah, it's really great.
yeah. No, it's great to hear that from you, like such a fresh opinion that you have, because like I've been an elastic for 5 years, a little over 5 years, and I still feel like that. Like we are so helpful and so kind. Our culture is so like based on that. Like we have like strong values to be nice to each other. So it's good that like after like 5 years, I mean more than that, but at least for me, after 5 years, I still get to see that from new employees. So it really good. It's really good to hear that.
But one of the things I like most is that compared to other organizations, people ask any questions about finance, about something related to IT or something related to kitchen or something related to whatever. And there is no competition. I don't feel a competition between people or people looking down on others because the answer is easy or whatever that be. That could be. So that's that really makes you feel comfortable, and you don't have to think for 2 hours about the question you want to ask. You just ask it, and you get the answers. Sometimes you don't get the answers because the question is not precise enough. That's okay, but no one will tell you, "Hey, your question is done," whatever, or someone already asked it, or I mean, I've never seen that. I'm not here for long, but I've not been here for long, but I don't feel it. So it's really great to be in that environment. And, I like it.
Yeah, no, I don't think you ever see. I have never seen like, oh, this is a dumb question or anything. So you don't have to worry about that. And well, you have like so many years, like this experience as being part of the community and being like an active contributor. What are your suggestions or insights or advice that you would share with new contributors, like people that are starting their involvement, their relationship with Elastic community now?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think we've touched upon it a bit earlier with another question. I don't remember, but I would say to contributors, just don't contribute just to show your name or earn points in the contest. Basically, don't contribute for the sake of contributing. Contribute because you want to elevate your knowledge in Elasticsearch or whatever technology, and you want to elevate your knowledge and share your lessons learned with other people in the community. So in turn they can elevate their own knowledge as well and help other people. I mean, it's like we said before, it's like a virtuous circle. Whatever you give out will eventually circle back to you with an increased value. So that's really the magic formula of contribution. So never stop learning, push the boundaries, what you think you can achieve with Elasticsearch, go share it with the world. It can be a blog article, it can be a video, presentation, demo, whatever. I mean, the fact that you're learning and sharing what you learn can just only improve your beloved product, right? So make it shine above the competition. So just contribute and do it with a smile.
Yes, I love that. I love it that. Thank you so much, Val, for sharing a little bit about your story, your relationship with Elastic. We really appreciate that. And yeah, do you have any final words to say?
It was really my pleasure, and I think the contributor program is a really great initiative. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. And it was good to see you, Val. Bye.
Bye bye.